Hello, everybody. Hope you're all doing fantastically well. It's Connor here. We're back with another One Leeds video. We're live for the first time in a long time. I say long time. It's probably been the best part of maybe 2 weeks, probably since deadline day. As I say, hope you're all doing really well. I'm sure you are. I'm sure Monday's feeling a bit better for you guys after Leeds trashed the Millwall Melts. No, I'm joking. With the greatest of respect, Millwall. Listen, they'll be probably, I think, top 6 contenders this season. We'll probably have a bit more of a battle with them down at Ellen Road. And all joking aside, some of the banter that we've seen over the last couple of days, like some of the fan bouncing we've seen from the Millwall end and a lot of the Leeds fans piss taking. And listen, it was an interesting atmosphere. And I said in the preview, if Leeds are able to quell the atmosphere that you're going to get down there, which is, coveted with Mill, which I do have to say is a shocking chant. Guys, you got to flex it up a little bit. We've got to hear some more chants from down there and the standard Jimmy Savile one. But aside from that, I thought Leeds weren't. I didn't think we were, completely dominant in the game. I said previously I wanted to see a real Daniel Farke performance. And, when I look at a Daniel Farke performance, I think dynamism, I think fluidity, I think possession-based, I think really grinding the opposition down and really creating spaces and just brutalising the opposition with clinical finishing. And I thought that's what you saw yesterday. I think the key thing to note yesterday was just the difference in crispness, sharpness, and I thought to myself, right, okay, this is a top 6 to 10 team in my opinion in Millwall, and they just couldn't handle us when it came to those offensive movements that we were making. And it was so interesting because when Wednesday came and played Leeds and Salford, we've got to take into consideration Salford in particular because those two teams set up very, very similarly. They sat back in, banks and very similarly to what we saw under Bielsa when we went to Derby and pumped 4 past Lampard's side, and we went to Norwich and pumped 3 past Farke's side earlier on in that campaign. Those teams came at Leeds and were able to hurt them in the transition. I thought Millwall were coming at us yesterday, and it's interesting. It's going to be fascinating to see where Leeds are better this season. Is it going to be on the road or is it going to be at home? I would hazard a guess on the road. But if Leeds are able to really find a way to break teams down at home, this division's in a lot of trouble. It really is. It really is. And especially if we can keep together the depth that we've got. I mean, I was just looking at the front line the other day. Sorry, guys, I'm being rang. I will get back to that. Someone who's watching this as well, shout out to you. But the front line, when you're looking at Anthony, who I thought when he came on, he looked dangerous, looked good, was unlucky with the finish. He trips over himself. Dan James, who very Dan Jamesy, but he was involved in 2 of the later goals. And it's those transitional moments again where James is very, very good, very quick. Those balls through to him and you're just not catching him. Rutter, Somerville, Nonto, and Piroe, or Piroe, as we all now know should be how it's pronounced. But Leeds just looked really, really good going forward. And I think it was really nice to see Kamara coming on, Gruev coming on, and you saw the depth and you're like, okay, I'm liking this. I'm liking the depth. I'm liking the positions that we've got sorted. Listen, I've come on here before and I've said Sam Byram's rotation. Do you know what? On this channel, I'll always come out and say if I'm wrong. I'm a fan at the end of the day. I am a fan of. I'm not an analyst. I'm not a statistician. I'm not a football pundit. And I think some people forget that when they're coming on this channel at points. They think that I've got some sort of like credential when it comes to analysing Leeds. I'm not. I'm a fan with a microphone and a camera. I can admit when I'm wrong. I'm looking at Sam Byram now and I'm thinking. And the reason I was worried about him was because I thought he couldn't use his left foot, and I still don't think he can properly, and I think that will hurt Leeds at points. But I think when he inverts, he picks the right option a lot, and it's going to restrict Leeds, in my opinion, being able to really, elevate themselves out wide with someone like Sam Byram. But if he's able to invert and just slot the ball to Nonto, aid him in terms of an overlap, or Somerville or whoever, they can provide the width. And then Byram is just a body, a body that takes away another body from the opposing side. Let the wingers do the damage. I'm okay with that at championship level. And when I'm looking at this long term, I'm looking at Byram, Rodon, Strauch, and Jed Spence at some point, which we'll get onto today. that is more than good enough. And I'm happy to say that Sam Byram is proving me wrong. He was injured, and I thought, here we go. Here we go. Classic Sam, as I've been saying on the channel, as West Ham fans have been telling me, Norwich fans have been telling me, he's just going to break down, but he's back. You know, he's back very, very quickly, and he looked fit yesterday. He looked strong. And I liked everything I saw from him. I actually thought Byram was probably one of the better players on the pitch, top 3. So yeah, shout out to Sam Byram. Really impressive performance. I'm going to start at the back and I'm going to come to Elan Meslier. And guys, I'll get to your comments in a little bit. There's loads of you in the building. Shout out to everybody here. Andy Toon says, "We're back, kid. We're back. Thanks for your donation, my friend." We'll get into your comments. Loads of you in the building. Thank you so much. Great to see you all. Great to see so many happy comments again. And hopefully this is going to be the resurgence of Leeds United, the regeneration, the renovation, as I always say, the 3 R's on this channel. And you know, maybe this is the start, 7 points in 9. But let's get into the player analysis to start with on this Monday afternoon, evening, I should say. Meslier makes team of the week. Interesting. Still thought he was shaky. You know, Tom Bradshaw did make a foul on him, but I still think Elan's got those problems which we've never seen him evolve with, really, when it comes to handling, strength, and commanding his area. And I think I think distribution-wise as well, I still think he's poor, everyone. Listen, I'm going to be honest. I know we've won 3-0 and we're going to get on so many positives, but I still think the weak links in this team are 2 players. And I think Elan is that weak link. And I'm not saying throw Carl Darlow in. I'm not saying that because I didn't think Darlow was great against Salford. But what I will say is I do think that is a weak area for Leeds. And I think Millwall, because of how good we were on the ball at points, they weren't really able to build ahead of steam, essentially, and start to really pepper Leeds with corners. And I think actually the defence got Leeds out of a lot of trouble yesterday when it came to balls in, and we're going to get onto that. But Elan Meslier, for me, team of the week was a stretch. I really couldn't believe that. The other names in there I completely agreed with, but not for me. I thought he made a couple of decent saves, expected saves, but I still worry about... The thing is, with the Daniel Farke system, I'm expecting his distribution to be really good. And his distribution's not good. It went off a hill after the first season under Bielsa, and I don't think it's ever recovered. Probably because our absolute dismal hiring and firing when it comes to coaches and different styles of football where you're not asked to pass out from the back. And I'm not blaming Elan for that, but I think there's still many holes in his game. And I still think, even against Millwall the other day, yesterday, I should say, I'm still not convinced. I'm still not. So I'll tell you what, let's get that out the way. Let's get Luke Ayling out the way. And as I say, I'm going to start. This is going to be a very, very positive video because I'm elated with Leeds United. But I just want to start on the constructive criticism. Please don't get upset in the comment section below. I'm still going to be blowing smoke up Leeds United's arse because they were fantastic yesterday. But I've got to be constructive. I always am on this channel. Elan Meslier, not great, but clean sheet. Clean sheet. I do think you can attribute that to other things. But Luke Ayling, just really, the 1v1 defending, never been good enough. Dives in with not enough effect for me and too easy to beat. Simply too easy to beat. And I think Daniel Farke wants Jed Spence back in this side. Jed Spence is going to be out for 8 weeks now, which when you're looking at match fitness, it's probably going to be 9-10 weeks, which is a massive, massive blow for Leeds. 2 months, maybe 3 months out, which for a loan spell for a year is absolutely killer. Feels at points like a little bit Eddie Nketiah, you know, and Eddie just couldn't get started. But hopefully he's going to be back, and hopefully Luke can just improve steadily on these performances. I don't think he's amazing going forward, but Luke Ayling is so much better going forward than he is 1v1 defending. I think even Willie Gnonto looked better than Luke Ayling at 1v1 defending yesterday. And I think these, everybody, are our problem areas. Right back and the goalkeeper. I think Luke Ayling defends square, and I don't think he's agile enough to be able to cope with even 50-60% of championship wingers. I really don't. But they are just constructive. Callum says Ayling is great in these kind of games, always up for the fight. I understand he's up for the fight. I get it. It's quality, though. And I always say that on this channel. Like, I expect fight. I expect effort from every single Leeds United player. And I saw that yesterday. Luke Ayling just fell into a bunch of players who were putting in a lot of effort. I just don't think quality-wise he's on the same level as a lot of these Leeds United players for me. And I think you're seeing that this season. I've just seen Russ as well. Connor, you must be wrong, as Melee was named in 2 EFL Team of the Weeks today. Yeah, I must be, Russ. But honestly, mate, this is just my opinion. I can be wrong. I'm not saying I'm not. I'm not saying I'm right. I just don't think he's it. I think you have and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anymore, does it? Because Elan's who we're going to be with, going forward. But I don't change my position, as I have done with Byram, like Elan Melee. I'm still seeing the same problems, handling, distribution, and ultimately commanding his area. I'm still seeing a few of these problems. Luke Ayling, and it's interesting to see there's a bit of a balance here. I do wonder, and this isn't hammering anyone's opinion whatsoever, if this is influenced a little bit by the result yesterday, which naturally it will, of course. But I think Luke Ayling isn't at the level of as LUFC losses as mentioned it with Jed Spence. Yeah, cheers for your donation there, buddy. Nobody's better eyebrows than Connor. Cheers, Ollie. Yeah, the eyebrows are very feminine, mate. I can't do anything about it. It's how it's a gift from my mother. Okay, let's get into the positives. So there's 2 just constructive pieces there. I don't think they were ultimately negative whatsoever. Essentially, we kept a clean sheet. Those 2 were part of the clean sheet fabric. So I'm not getting at them whatsoever. Just a bit of constructive criticism. Can they seek to improve certain areas of the game under Daniel Farke? We know that the Elan Melee's had Marcus Abad, who has been one of the worst goalkeeping coaches I think I've ever seen in my lifetime at Leeds United. If not the only goalkeeper coach who seems to have got it wrong every single time. No real improvement in Elan's game. Hopefully we're going to see that over time. Anyway, waffle over. Centre-backs, Joe Rodon, Pascal Struijk. On the match review yesterday, I came out and I said, Pascal, I don't think it was his greatest game. Now, I rewatched the game today. I had a spare hour or so, rewatched the game, fast-forwarded it. Joe Rodon was unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Now, I'm seeing a lot of reactionary takes at the minute, and I will say, let's chill out a little bit in terms of this sort of comparison. He's better than Ben White, is what I've been reading this morning and last night. Guys, when he's available for nearly 50 games, when he puts in 99% top quality performances, when he pretty much is our player of the year by the end of the season, then I'll compare him to Mr. White. But Ben White was a Rolls Royce. And listen, I've said on here before, I can see the comparatives with Joe Rodon. I really kind of think it's an excellent signing. And I'll tell you what, with Joe Rodon yesterday, you had Jake Cooper in there. You had a lot of sort of individuals. I think there's Mary Wallace, he was in there as well, wasn't he? All these, like, have you noticed every Millwall player is a skinhead as well? They all just seem to seek a barber when it gets like to a grade 3, 4 haircut wise down there. It's ridiculous. They really embody the fabric of being a Millwall fan. Just hard nuts. But yeah, it was great to see Joe Rodon yesterday just want to head everything. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Paddy Kisnorbo vibes, you know what I mean? He wanted to head everything yesterday, and I thought everything that came into the box, as I say, I criticised Pascal Struijk, but rewatching it, he wasn't on Rodon's level. But when you're looking at certain plays, certain phases of play where he's on the ball, he's making the right decision. Not only that, but he's absolutely excellent, in terms of getting his head to balls coming into the box, as Rodon was with throw-ins. You forget all they were doing was hitting the channels, as they always do against us, as they always do. They try and make it as difficult as possible. They all scream mill at 100 decibels a second, and I suppose I should say 1,000 decibels a second there, shouldn't I? And the balls are lumped into the box, and it's a hard game for Leeds, and it always has been down there, and they're all up for it. They sell out, they sing very unsavoury things, and it's like a sort of a culmination of things which previously has seemed to get to Leeds, but it didn't yesterday. And I thought those 2 were fantastic in terms of really stepping up to the task, stepping up to the game, the task, whatever you want to say, as leaders at the back, and they were fantastic, really fantastic. And Daniel Farke came out at the end and was saying, look, they were heading everything. They were immense. They were fantastic. They really sort of set the tone. I thought they were absolutely fantastic. Joe Rodon's getting better and better and better. But let's not, come on. Let's not rewrite history. We all remember Ben White. Okay. I love the jersey, Connor. Thank you, my friend. Jetro says you're playing for Leeds, Connor, and got an international call up from Maya and Ing. Who are you choosing? Leeds, Leeds, Leeds. Oh. I'd have to say it'd be England, mate. I am English, but as you can probably tell by the look of me, my name, I have a massive Irish heritage. So yeah, there are people in my family who are English who would be playing for Ireland, but I would probably be a Declan Rice in this scenario, guys. I'd be tempted by Ireland, very tempted, but it'd be England. I am very proud to be English as well. Okay, so let's get on to the a couple of other bits that I wanted to touch on from the game. Archie Gray, insane. Again, slotted into the right back role at points when you saw Luke marauding forwards. Love that word, the M word. But what I really liked about what Archie was doing is it's what we've spoken about on here before, where the fullbacks go forward. And for me, there's not been enough recovery. So, for example, when Luke Ayling going forward, Sam Byron's going forward, what are the central midfielders doing there? Are they using their football brains? Because I want one of you to tuck in where that right back is or where that left back is. And that's going to give us a little bit of structure if we are to be transitioned on by the opposition team. And transition on, I mean, counter-attacked, plain and simple. Archie was doing that yesterday in abundance, and just every time. There's a bit in the first half where he's been pressurised, I think, by Campbell and Longman was pressurised. 2 little steps, moves out, plays it to Pascal Strout. And I was saying to a colleague today, I was saying, it will not surprise me if City are looking at this guy at some point. He fits Manchester City down to a glove, which would absolutely gut me. Down to a T, I should say. Fit them like a glove. That's it. Don't get them mixed up. But enough of that nonsense. The longer we can keep hold of this guy, the better. But I still am going to smash on the drum of I don't want him playing game after game after game. We've had Millwall. Now we've got an arduous task of playing Hull City. Hull City have had 2 days more rest than us. We've got to go from South London to a shithole in Yorkshire. And then we've got to play there. It's going to be, this is where rotation is key. This is where the parachute payments are massive for Leeds United because we're able to rotate with Gruev. We're able to rotate with Kamara, That's where it's great. We could maybe be a bit fluid with the formation, just have Ampadu there, and it was interesting actually offensively. I don't know if you guys spotted it yesterday, but Sam Byron was coming in centrally. Don't know if you spotted that, but anytime Leeds would go on the offensive, you just get him coming into that central midfield role, picking up the Kyle Walker, Trent Alexander-Arnold position really, and centrally he was doing that quite often in the second half, and I thought it was quite an interesting ploy by Daniel Farke. But yeah, just that central midfield space, because it's the engine of the entire team. It's going to have to be rotated, and I don't want I don't want Archie playing there all the time because he's going to break down, i.e. Lewis Cook. So yeah, fantastic performance from him yesterday. I thought it was one of his best ones, especially the atmosphere, the cauldron that is Millwall. Which, they do rock up a good atmosphere, and especially when they're all coming off the team bus and you're getting 50-year-old men shouting C-U-N-T at a 17-year-old boy. It's a very specific fan base, a very unique fan base. And I don't mean that I am kind of generalising here, of course, and I'm sure there are lovely Millwall fans and you can't generalise and stereotype, but I'm kind of going to do it for this video because it seems to be a large majority. But doing that to a young lad, and yeah, I just, is what it is. Someone will call it football banter, but I'm not a massive fan of it. But yeah, and Archie came through that atmosphere and was able to really play his game. The other operator that I want to talk about, of course, is Ampadu. Now, when I came on here, and I got battered for going, I didn't go at Jamie Shackleton at all. I was trying to say that we're talking about contract disputes. I thought if we're keeping hold of Jamie Shackleton and we're giving him a long-term contract, even if we are to give him a low-budget long-term contract, let's just see how Jamie Shackleton does over a period of time, and then we can make an assessment. Because if we do go up to the Premier League, it doesn't matter how what wage Jamie Shackleton's on, because I don't think we get a massive sell-on value for him in the Premier League. You've really got to think of absolutely everything here. And would we want Jamie Shackleton on the books in the Premier League as a utility player? I'd argue not. I'm always happy to be wrong. Of course I am. Not got a problem with Jamie whatsoever. But the reason I mentioned Jamie Shackleton there is because the Sheffield Wednesday game, where 45% of fans voted Jamie as man of the match, I think, aside from that game, Ethan Ampadu has been man of the match in every single game, and I don't think any fan would argue with that. That is a £7 million signing. That is the best signing at this level this season for me. And that's what I will say about Leeds United's recruitment. He is the best signing the Championship has seen this summer. And as I say, the only reason I mentioned Jamie Shaq, I personally thought it was an Ethan Ampadu man of the match against Sheffield Wednesday. Shaq's got it. Fair enough. He is different gravy. And I said when we bought him, I can't believe he's at Championship level. I can't. And I had all this nonsense back. Oh, he got relegated with Sheffield United. He played for Spezia. He played for Venezia. All this sort of stuff. Well, look what's happening right now. He's commanding that Leeds United team. You know, he's shoulder barging players out of play when it's getting a little bit rough. If so, you know, did you see when? I'm sure you all saw when someone just went in on Elan Meslier. Ethan's the first one there. Don't be doing that. Shoulder barging the lad. Leeds players getting into a bit of a scuffle, a bit of nastiness. He's top. He's a top level player. A top level player, and another defensive midfielder previously. And everything we found out about this defensive midfielder who moved on. I cannot understand the comparison. Someone said to me the other day, fair play, football's subjective, but they said that the other central midfielder, obviously Tyler Adams, that being the other central midfielder, said he was more mobile. Now, Ethan Ampadu, for me, covers every blade of grass. So I think at this moment in time, fans don't really know what to say when they're trying to almost administer a positive for Tyler Adams over Ethan Ampadu. And the reason I mention Tyler Adams, everybody, and a lot of you probably get vexed at me constantly comparing Ethan Ampadu to Tyler Adams, is because everybody loved Tyler Adams. Ethan Ampadu, in 5 to 6 games, is already showing how he is a level above Tyler Adams. Level above. You know, and I understand for a football team, he's now going to be playing for Bournemouth, Tyler Adams. Let's see where Ethan Ampadu is going to be playing in 2 years' time. I can bet you bottom dollar. I hope it's at Leeds United, but I can bet you bottom dollar, especially with him being at such a young age, he's going to be playing in the top 10 of the Premier League. I think he's an absolutely fantastic little player. I think his relationship with Archie, as you know, he's captain material. I think he's really brought on Archie Gray as well. You see them very, very close, intertwined on the football pitch, and you see them off the football pitch as well, talking to each other. And at such a young age of 22, 23, however many international Welsh caps, you know, he's playing every single game for Wales. And I think the hallmark of a relatively and pretty successful Leeds United transfer window when you looking back on it. Diggler says Tyler Adams was okay, but Ampadu is definitely better. Yeah, and I think that what Nick's just said, Bournemouth paying 23 million for Adams must be kicking themselves. That's the value that Leeds have got here. They've sold on Tyler Adams for however much money he's got, how much money we've got from him. Obviously, he's injured. He's been injured for about 14 years. Ethan Ampadu has come in, and in the summer, everyone, we spoke, didn't we? And we said people need to come into Leeds United and they need to wear that white shirt with. I've got it. It doesn't worry me wearing this shirt because a lot of people have shrunk wearing that white shirt. And we all know they have. They've shrunk. In front of the Ellen Road faithful, home and away, they've shrunk. When the pressure's on, Ethan Ampadu doesn't shrink. In my opinion, he's been man of the match every single game. He's been outstanding. I just wanted to really, you know, pay a little bit of homage to him, to be honest, because I'm loving what we've seen. I think the Leeds United recruitment department, with regards to him and how they've identified him and they got him in so quickly. And they didn't listen to the noise, you know. Oh, Sheffield United, he's gone down. Spezia, he's gone down. Venezia, he's gone down. It doesn't mean shit. Look at Aaron Ramsdale. He's had 3 relegations as well. If you're a good quality footballer, it doesn't matter how many times you've been relegated. It really doesn't. And he's been absolutely fantastic. Counterpoint, he's showing it multiple Oh, here we go. I expected this from Gabe. Counterpoint, he's showing it in multiple competitive levels down. That said, Ampadu has been great. The thing is, when we're talking about levels, I think, and you'll hear a lot of Sheffield United fans say that when he was playing in defensive midfield for Sheffield United, he was very, very good. When he was playing at centre-back, you know, in that Sheffield United side, it was difficult for him. Of course, he was disrupting that famous Sheffield United back three. And yeah, he didn't really suit him, and he was a lot younger then as well. A lot younger. I think right now he's on. If you're looking at a football level, everybody on the eye test. If you're watching Ethan Ampadu in comparison to Tyler Adams, I don't think there's any comparative. I think on the ball he's better. I think under pressure he's better, and I think he covers as much ground as Tyler Adams. People were always saying how mobile Tyler Adams is and how he's great in the tackle. Ethan Ampadu's as good in those areas where Tyler Adams is his strongest, and that's how you've got to look at it. And I think it's just. I wanted to pay homage to it because I think Leeds have levelled up, and I think it's fantastic from the recruitment department. Anyway, let's move on. There he is. Oh, it's always mate. He'll be speaking about Pulisic soon. Yeah, and Dean's got a good point as well. He very much plays like Phillips for Leeds. He's definitely more similar to Phillips, and I think you're right. Very much more similar to Phillips in that Bielsa 4-1-4-1 system than he is to Tyler Adams, and that's where maybe I'm making a poor comparative there, but I'm just talking about recency bias here. And hey, the last 3 DMs Leeds have had, they've not been bad acquisitions, have they? All of them, as in them fitting into this Leeds side. But let's go forward. Okay, the 3. And this is the most exciting bit. This is what we all want to talk about. We spoke about the structure, the framework, the defensive capabilities of this Leeds United side, which is 2 clean sheets in 2. I wasn't that enamoured by the 0-0 against Sheffield Wednesday, but now I see the importance of it. They built on something, a little bit of confidence, and they had a really good rearguard performance yesterday, which has been built on from that Wednesday performance. Great to see. Nonto, Rutter, who gives me a little smile on my face because, one thing, and I will say well done to all Leeds United fans who backed him, and I will say this, because there can be. I was always vexed again. I've just seen someone in the comment section below saying that you can't change your mind in football. Of course you can, but with Rutter, because Victor Orta used to boil my piss on a daily occurrence, and I pretty much need the dartboard of the guy. With Rutter in particular, when we saw it, and we said it on the debrief, when he was bought for 35 million quid behind the scenes on the debrief, myself, Gabe and Brownie, we're talking about it, and we're all really worried for him. 19 years of age, inverted winger when we needed a striker. There's a clamour from all Leeds fans to get a striker, me included. This kid was brought in as the poster boy, and shit, shock, horror, he was saying on a recent interview it really affected his mental health because he was brought in, 19, 20 years of age, never played in the Premier League, the best league in the world, and was the poster boy for 35 million because, Victor Orta wanted to make a Hollywood signing when the obvious signing would have been someone like a Danny Ings, and then we go for maybe a Rutter for a cheaper price in the summer. But that's logic, and that's not what used to happen with the previous regime. However, we're reaping the rewards now because you're feeling that Rutter is feeling himself a little bit at home. The Daniel Farke system really seems to suit him. We saw the interchanging like we saw at Ipswich between him and Piroe. Great to see that. I'd like to see that as well in the low block. Can Leeds break down the low blocks that are going to face us at home? I like it in the transition because the fluidity between the 10 and the number 9 is just fantastic. And I want to start on Rutter. I thought he was strong as an ox. I thought his ball retention was excellent under pressure. I thought his IQ in that game was just next level. And I thought every decision he made was spot on. And I was really, really happy for him because, as I say, I tried to stay away from absolutely hammering him because I thought to myself, he's at the start of this campaign, this year, I should say, when he was brought in by that donut for that price, I thought this is either going to go one way or the other. And with the position Leeds were in at the time, his profile, you thought, well, it's not a striker, he's an inverted winger, he's 19, 20 years old and he's not prolific. He needs time to bed in here. And you're hoping right now you're going to see that in the Championship. Yeah, I thought he was really, really good. Really, really good. And he seems to be getting his confidence. I think we all thought when he missed the penalty against Salford and we went out, I thought he'd missed, to be honest. I don't like just his approach to that penalty. And he's a work in progress, isn't he? He's a work in progress. He's a young lad. Time's on his side. And you're just hoping he's going to be able to thrive, develop, add little, differences to his game in the Championship because you don't get punished like you get punished in the Premier League and the Championship, as we saw yesterday. So yeah, great for him. Really, really happy for him and a fantastic finish. What I'd urge you lot to do as well, go back and watch that third goal, which I'm sure you all will have done 9 billion times anyway, like myself. But just look how his first touch shifts that ball from his right onto his left, and it's an excellent first touch. That ball could have got stuck underneath his foot. He shifted it from one side to the other, smash, top corner, and there I had full confidence that he was going to put that away. Great to see. Somerville, dangerous again. Once again, I said it yesterday, I don't think it was his best game, but dangerous. An elite level dribbler, Premier League level dribbler, and they don't want to touch him. He's always on the ground, but he is actually hammered a lot when you see him during a game. Shout out to Ryan Leonard, who pretty much got a GBH, an assault charge yesterday. Made about 5 tackles within about 60 minutes. I think he saw 1 yellow card. An accumulation should have been built up there, and there's an argument he should have been sent off. And this is what all the Millwall fans aren't speaking about. The referee was against them, yada, yada, yada. We're going to get onto the goals in a little bit, but I just wanted to give a shout out to Jorginho, Rutter, and Somerville in particular. Somerville played really, really well. Rutter played really, really nicely. Nonto, talks of a new contract, great. And he's back in the fold, isn't it? He's putting, I saw defensive effort yesterday. I saw him helping out Luke Ayling. Already looks like a better 1v1 defender than Luke Ayling. Shock. I think I would be. But got back, was helping the team. I love the celebration. We'll get onto the goal. But that first goal, man. That first goal. What a goal. But how they all celebrated together. And Willie, for me, was the perfect picture of it. He's smiling, beaming. Him, Piroe, Rutter, Somerville, they all just look like mates having fun. And that's what you love to see. And I've missed it for so fucking long. So long. I have missed seeing this side enjoying playing football. Me just enjoying watching them. And yesterday, it was just on the counter-attack. They were scintillating. They look like they're having fun. They've got smiles on their faces. They're all celebrating together. The new signings are combining with the old signings. There's a new feel in the last in my opinion, the last 2 or 3 games. Even though we weren't able to, turn those chances into wins against Sheffield Wednesday. There's chances into goals, I should say. But Nonso was really good, and I'm really happy he's been able to. Liam just said there wasn't any yellow cards yesterday. I mean, there we go. New contract for what? There's just been a few discussions that Nonto might be getting an extension from what I read the other day. Could be wrong, but that's just stuff that I've read over the last couple of days. Let me just get into a few of your comments. Daniel Agar says, thanks for the donation, mate. Connor, I see 12 points for the next international break. I'd love that, Daniel. I really would. But yeah, as we were speaking about... Nonto played really well. And listen, let's talk about Piroe, as we should say, not Piroe, apparently. How nice is it, everyone? How nice is it that we've got a striker? And listen, I know I was saying the other day, he's a bit more of the Harry Kanes. He's going to drop deep. At some point yesterday, he was playing left back. I just didn't understand it. But Farke was saying that he's trying to push him when we're playing those low blocks a little bit further up. And I think that's what we missed against Sheffield Wednesday. We missed him further up the pitch. There was no out ball, which was easier for Wednesday to deal with. We need to be flooding those areas, especially when they've got 11 behind the ball. We need to find areas. And I think Leeds are going to struggle still in those games because they haven't got that number 10 to unlock it. But that's where they've got to be creative with movement. Within that front four, someone's got to take that role up. Hopefully that's where maybe Jaden Anthony has a little bit of an impact. But yeah, anyway, Piroe was just, I just love him. I really, really like Yoel Piroe. I'm going to call him Piroe as well. It's not Piroe. Piroe just doesn't sound right. Sorry. But we're going to stick with Piroe on this channel. And just that finish for the first one. Was it his right foot? And that's what they've said about Piroe. He can use either foot, and that's really, really exciting. But from what we've gone from Patrick Bamford, listen, nice guy. I'm sure he is, Patrick, but nowhere near the level of Joel Piroe in terms of a finisher. And the second goal was almost obvious of, we can talk about his class, and that was his movement and his finish for the first goal. But even the Dan James goal, he's Johnny on the spot. He's always, in my opinion, in the right moment. I don't know if you remember in the first half, I think it was Willie Nonto. He'd made a defence-splitting run. Yoel Piroe, and he was through. Willie just overhit the pass by about a yard, and his movement, Piroe's movement, got him into that position, and he just ghosted the defenders. And that movement is so key. It's so key in football. And I think he's the top scorer in the Championship over the last 2 seasons now, and he seems to be really fitting in at Leeds, which is great to see. Let's get into a couple of your comments. Rodon might not be the Ben White, but he needs to be part of the project. The ref allowed the Millwall team to hat down Nonto too much. Yeah, 100%. I mean, I've not. I mean, yeah, we'll get onto the ref in a bit, but yeah, someone just said his first touch for the opener was football porn. It was. I mean, and do you know the hop that he did when Jorginho played that one touch to him? I mean, that goal was so good. It was so good. If that was Premier League, like that's City Premier League level, and that's where you can see that front four was just devastating. That counter-attack, Archie sort of led it, didn't he? But even it was a second goal, wasn't it? I believe it was a second goal. Yeah, the second goal where James led the counter-attack and they were just streaming through the middle like arrows. And yeah, and I just want to talk about the subs. Jayden Anthony, Glenn Kamara, Dan James, you know, the main subs in that game. Like, how good does that sound in terms of championship level? That's depth. Gruev came on as well. I forgot about that one, but he didn't get as many minutes, did he? But that at championship level is good. And I'm still hoping we make investments in January. And obviously, we've not had these 2 games a week now. I'm hoping there's not going to be players breaking down, but let's try to stay positive and think to ourselves that's not going to happen. That's maybe where Jamie Shackleton will be very, very useful. Quality-wise, I'm not sure, but useful as just another body who can play like either fullback, central midfield, whatever. But I'm really optimistic about the depth that we've got, and you saw that yesterday. They actually brought some really good depth off. You know, Essa is being tipped to be a decent youngster in this championship campaign. Zian Fleming. He's been brilliant at championship level. So I actually thought when they brought the subs on, okay, you know, not too bad. But Leeds just took it away when it comes to quality. As I say, crispness, sharpness, effectiveness, clinical in front of goal. And you looked at us yesterday and you thought, that's mustard. Absolutely mustard. Pat mustard for all you Father Ted fans. But yeah, great to see as well. I was really worried about Sinistera. You guys know I was. And I just thought, even without him yesterday, you saw that fluidity in that front four and it didn't matter. Right decision making and really, really decent. All 3 goals were counter-attacks though. Still very worried about low blocks. Mass, I wouldn't disagree, and we've not seen that yet. We've seen West Bromwich Albion for the majority of the game go into a low block. We've seen Cardiff go into a low block for the entire last 60 minutes and time waste. We saw Sheffield Wednesday time waste from the 11th minute onwards. Yes, you are quite right, and this is what we faced under Bielsa, wasn't it? It was give the ball to Pablo and let's see what he can do in terms of unlocking that back line. And what you can see with this Leeds side, pace-wise, dynamism, and on the counter-attack, we're going to be frightening. And that's why I said at the start of the stream, I'm going to make a bold statement. I think Leeds' away record this year will be better than our home record, because I think teams are going to come for us, are going to try and you know, take a scalp, you know, with Leeds United at home. And I think they're going to set up to defend away. If we're able to somehow pick the lock, and I think I'm a little bit agreeing with you there, Mass, just in terms of who's going to unlock. You know, it's all well and good creating space, but you've got to have that conductor, that person who's going to be able to really, really thread the ball through an either needle. And we've had that with Samuel Saiz, we've had that with Pablo Hernandez in previous, and we don't have that right yet. But that movement from the front four is frightening. And I don't know, maybe if you are interchanging throughout the game and Nonto comes central and then Jayden Anthony comes central and then maybe at points Somerville comes central, maybe that's how we just pull teams apart a little bit. You've got to be intelligent with your movement. I think that's going to be key for Leeds with these low blocks. It's also committing men. It's committing men. It's getting the ball and running at them. I think the problem with Sheffield Wednesday when we played them was we were a little bit scared to lose the ball. I don't think we were being brave enough. And I would actually say that for parts of the West Bromwich Albion and Cardiff game, especially in that first half. If you're wanting to create space, if you're wanting to have a go at the opposition, create rebounds, ball hits the post, whatever, you have to run at men. You know, that can be 5-a-side, 11-a-side just on a Sunday or a Monday night. You run at men, commit men, and that's how you're going to ultimately create space. And maybe you don't need a number 10 as much if you're doing that. And that all comes down to having players who are on the front foot and are dynamic and are quick and they're able to take men on. If I was Daniel Farke, I'd be encouraging every one of that front four to take your man on. Maybe not Yo Piroe, I don't think he's got that explosiveness. But if you're looking at James as well, if you're looking at Jayden Anthony as well as that 3 in behind Piroe, go at your man. Go at your man. Commit your man. Be brave. Don't worry about losing it, because the framework behind you are ready made, and they've been brought in from a recruitment standpoint to pick up those loose balls, to win those second balls, and to ultimately give you the ball to score goals. So I think that's how you break down these teams. Leeds have just got to be intelligent with it. Yeah, as well, Mass. Interesting in your team for the whole game. 3 games in a week, I'd make some changes. I think maybe this is maybe time for a Glenn Kamara. I would have started Glenn Kamara at the weekend, but Archie Gray, as I said, is one of my favourite players. Absolutely love Archie. I think he's fantastic. I would start Glenn Kamara for this one. I don't know how far away Gruev is. Is this where you maybe rotate Sam Byram? Because we saw if you put too much load on Sam Byram, there is a chance that, well, there's more than a chance. There's a massive chance that he goes down. Is this where Shackleton comes in as utility at left back? I wouldn't disrupt that front four too much. I think you disrupt that front four, that synergy, the partnerships, the cohesiveness breaks down a little bit. But I'd be very, 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 very tempted to make the changes. If we're looking at 3, I have Shackleton coming in for Byram, Kamara for Archie Gray, and maybe Jaden Anthony for Somerville. They're the 3. If I'm making 3 changes, they're probably the 3 that I look at, to be honest with you. But I'm not intent on us making changes. I think you saw it with the Daniel Farke Norwich side. He barely made changes. And he was very lucky in terms of fitness. But maybe you're getting Onel Hernandez coming in, a Tom Tribal coming in for rotation a little bit. But aside from that, it wasn't mass changes, because, a team that stays together wins together. Consistency breeds success. If anybody's got a pen and wants to write all this on a t-shirt, I'll pay you. And you can advertise it on One Leeds Fan Channel. But yeah, you know what I mean? When it is that consistency in squad selection that builds so much. And we saw that with Bielsa, didn't we? That back line was pretty much the same throughout the entire season, really. So yeah, let's touch on the referee, shall we? Let's touch on the referee. Was there a foul in the build-up? Nope, there was not a foul in the build-up. I don't care how many times they scream in their Cockney rhyming slang, there was no foul in the build-up. Now, Luke Ayling was mugged again, which nearly sent Conor McGilligan into a spiral in a Manchester pub. Kicked a few things, and I was screeching until we hit the counter-attack, and then I was screeching in another way. But I was going absolutely mental at Luke Ayling for, once again, getting himself into this mess again. And I think even Joe Roden was confused, because Joe got himself out of some real trouble there. Real silky play, gives it to Ayling, and Ayling just goes into I don't even know what mode he goes into, but Junior Firpo mode. And essentially, there was no contact with the arm. It was the head. It was interesting, but it was the head. It wasn't obstruction, and if it was obstruction, it'd be an indirect free kick. It's not a penalty if someone's obstructed. I think a lot of people seem to be missing that out from a Millwall perspective. That wasn't a penalty whatsoever, and you are actually you're clutching at straws there. Now, when we move into the next phase of play, not a foul. Once again, Piroe moves his leg away. It's very, very. I think it was Campbell, or it might have been Longman. I can't remember. They all sound the same, or look the same, but flailing. We see this in the modern game a lot, where you stick your leg out and try and make contact with the opposing player. Happens all the time in the Premier League, and the reason it happens consistently is because the referees give it. To be fair to the ref, he was brave at this point. Piroe moved himself out the way, didn't touch him. The other kid tried to wrap his leg round Piroe's and go down. Not a foul. Not a foul in a month of Sundays. No chance. Leeds go on the counter attack. They all go nuts. And it is what it is. You play to the whistle as well. They all just got sluggish. They got hit on the counter attack. They're all moaning at the referee. Was not a foul in any phase of play there. Overall, I thought the ref was quite poor though for both sides. But we're talking Willie Gnonto was pretty much body checked, I think 3 or 4 times in that first half. The first 2 from Leonard were rugby tackles. Wasn't booked. And as I say, 4 or 5 times, Leonard somehow didn't get into the book. And as I said at the start of the video, if a competent referee is in charge of that game, with the accumulation of fouls, which I'd say 70% of those were yellow cards, he'd have been sent off. So if anything, Millwall were lucky So listen, they were frustrated at the fact that they were losing the game and they were trying to pick fights from the. We've all seen the video online, haven't we, of the Millwall fans trying to go with the Leeds fans, and it is brilliant. But and they it's bitter lemons. You know, they were done by a better team, and Leeds ultimately won the game, and they're not used to it. They're not used to it, so they're trying to blame everything they can, which is the referee, probably the weather, the time of play, all this sort of stuff. So listen, it is what it is. Leeds win the game, and yeah, there's no point in going a little bit further on that. Mark says, do you want to update your league finish for Leeds, Connor? Well, Mark, I did say 6th. We are currently 10th. At the start of proceedings, I did say 6th, but as I say multiple times on this channel, Mark, you can be wrong, my friend. I'm not expecting to be right. As I say, I'm a fan. I'm not a pundit. I'm not an analyst. I'm not a statistician. If I say something on here, it's just my opinion. But I've said 6th. So yeah, I still think that would be achievable for Leeds. And yeah, but I'm not gonna. I'm really excited about what I've seen at the minute. But as Daniel Farker says, I still think there's. Ask me at Christmas. All right, ask me at Christmas. But yeah, no, I'm not going to update it right yet, and I don't think 6 would be horrendous. Go on, the boys in green, says Barry. Let's have a look. Jed Spence to come back, he'll be awesome. Yeah, 2 months' time, annoyingly, but yeah, Piroe pulled out the tackle. He did, Jamie. Pulled out the tackle. He was looking for the foul. And if you noticed, everybody, presumably you've all played football before. If you've overhit the ball, especially in this modern era, if you overkick, well, if you're in possession and you overcook a touch, right? You overcook a touch, which that individual did. I think it was Longman or Campbell. I can't remember which one it was. But you overcooked the second touch. So he's looking for the foul because I think there was a Leeds player on the other side of Piroe who would have put a decent tackle in and probably likely would have got the ball. So what did he do? A bad touch of the ball. And he flung himself on the floor. It's not a foul. It's not a foul. And it was good, to be fair, from the ref being brave and accepting and letting play go on. But the knickers in the twist from that lot was hilarious, to be honest, at the end. But I think ultimately everyone, it's a satisfaction that I get from beating Millwall that it's not based on rivalry. And you'll have probably seen this maybe on my channel from my review, my preview of the game. It's a real satisfaction because they love playing us. They love beating us. I don't know what they've got against us, but we've seen once again vile chance again yesterday, which hopefully is going to be pulled up by the FA, the EFL, whatever. Hopefully, because we've seen it again. And once again, I don't like to generalize and stereotype, but there is a large majority of them which just literally go to the game, and it is an embarrassment. There is a whole section of them who go to the game to stare at the Leeds fans. They sell out, they scream Mill for 4 hours, and that's sort of it. And I find it very satisfying beating a team like that and really beating them comprehensively. And for them then afterwards to blame the entire result pretty much on the referee. To be fair, there's been some who've said Leeds were just better and quality-wise, but the referee chat has made me laugh because I think it was really bad for Leeds as well. And yeah, I think we'd be talking about it a lot more, to be fair, if we'd lost the game or drawn the game. Yeah, and two big wins, obviously, away at Ipswich and Millwall. Yeah, I would, mate. If they've got a central midfield option, I'll pretend I'm from Dublin. Yeah. Good evening, Connor. Richard says, as I said months ago, Rutter would come good. No one believed me, showing the world-class player he is. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Richard, sorry. Yeah, I as I said just earlier, mate, I didn't want to castigate. I didn't want to like throw him out to the Wolves, really, because I thought that dense recruitment owner that we had, who is now struggling subsequently, I should say, at Seville, which is very, very amusing, brought him in and made him the poster boy when he was so young. And I think he struggled to deal with the pressure, as anybody would do, for 35 million. Another top quality decision from Victor Orta there. But yeah, so I've always sort of given him a little bit more slack, maybe than others. I've never really had a problem with Rutter. If you watched on TV, every time camera pinned to Rout, he was talking to the fourth official. Terrible baby performance from the toughest team in the league. Exactly, mate. Exactly. Guys, I'm going to leave it there. Give us a like for Leeds United's 3-0 win at Millwall. Really appreciate your support. I'm going to leave it there. Shout out to all you lot who are in the stream. Please make sure you like the video before you leave. It's free. You want some bonus content? Head on over to the Patreon. Links in the description below, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. Leeds win 3-0. We'll have some more content out for you, obviously, tomorrow, previewing the Hull City game. It's kicking off, everybody. Leeds are playing twice a week, and if we carry on like that, it's going to be absolutely perfect. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'll see you in a bit. Cheers.